Mr. Secretary, we want control of our community.
This week on Earth Matters.
When is this administration going to defend the environment?
Tree huggers to the left of him, budget cutters to the right. What's America's biggest landlord to do? Then, meet a couple of surfing congressmen.
Hey, surf's up. Let's go.
Hey.
Look at this gap. Let's go surfing.
Who want to save the coastline their way.
The only thing the Republicans are saying is let's make sure that all our judgments are based on real science and not just some stupid environmental scare tactic.
They're Beach Boys, balancing a board and a budget. And later, here's a surprise. You thought recycling was wonderful, right? We've got the dirty truth.
See, somebody killed some dead chickens. Oh, man.
All this and more on Earth Matters.
The United States probably has as many laws protecting its environment as any nation on Earth, much of that thanks to the U.S. Congress. But the U.S. Congress is now in the process of dismantling many of those same environmental laws. Hello, I'm Jack Hamm, and welcome to our show. President Bill Clinton has a man on his team charged with overseeing many of those laws, but Interior Secretary Bruce Babbitt isn't sticking around Washington, D.C. to duke it out with Congress. He's taking his complaints on the road. It has long been a place for both poetry and politics. Walden Pond is where Henry David Thoreau put his passion for solitude on paper, one of the first and still most famous advocates for environmental sanity. Huckleberry.
Yeah. Look at that. Thoreau talks a lot about those huckleberries. That guy's actually kind of a scold and a bit of a crank.
Bruce Babbitt feels a kinship with Thoreau, a man in search of metaphors that might awaken his slumbering nation.
And he goes into this long diatribe about how, this is one fruit which cannot be transported. And I'm thinking, God, where have I heard this before?
Babbitt is Secretary of the Interior in what was supposed to be an environmental administration. Candidate Bill Clinton was, to some, the great green hope.
I've come to reject the false choice between economic growth and environmental protection.
But the environment seemed to be an afterthought during the first 2 years of Bill Clinton's term, and in 1994, he lost control of Congress.
The election of 1994 dramatically changed Congress more than it has in a half a century. And one should assume, shouldn't we, that part of it was because the American people rejected the approach that the Clinton administration was taking on the environment. Well, the 1994 election was obviously about a lot of things. It was a reflection of an impatience and discontent, a demand for a balanced budget, a certain amount of impatience with government. One thing that it was not about was the environment. And I think for obvious reasons, there's a huge consensus out there in the land about the importance of water and the landscape and our natural heritage. So it would be foolhardy to run on a campaign. Nobody would have run on a platform to do the things that they're now doing. You think anybody would have been elected to say, I want to close down national parks, I want to prohibit volunteers from working with their government, I want to open the Florida coast to oil drilling? And nobody, you'd have to be insane to propose those things.
Insane? Babbitt uses a lot of words that Thoreau never did to describe Republicans and their allies. Words like zealots and ideologues, people who are vicious and pernicious.
What's happening is the lobbyists are swarming across Capitol Hill, and they're saying, remember who put up the money to elect you. Now, here's our list of things that we want. And even though there's no public support, we expect it to be done. And that's the reason Congress is running this kind of sneak attack
doing these things in the dark at night, zeroing out programs in back rooms in the budget process.
The Secretary of Interior is the largest landlord in America, managing millions of acres of parks, forests, rangelands, and deserts. On the very day Congress was in Washington trying to dismantle huge chunks of his department, Babbitt chose to be in New England, touring a series of lakes, rivers, and bays that he calls success stories of the Clean Water Act.
This is a story that I want to kind of bottle up and carry around the rest of this country and say, here's how we do it. What I'd like to do is kind of bottle this experience up as I understand it and sort of sprinkle it across the rest of the land.
Throughout his tour, he was quietly dogged by placards and protesters, some complaining he isn't doing enough, some complaining he's gone too far.
Mr. Secretary, we want control of our community.
So I ask you, when is this administration going to defend the environment?
The Clean Water Act still does have some concerns to me.
It seems that much of what this administration has had to do, instead of being proactive and finding new initiatives, has been fighting a rearguard action trying to prevent the Clean Air, Clean Water, and other existing laws, Endangered Species Act, from being simply removed.
Well, that's not entirely correct. What we've been doing is breathing some life into these laws by bringing people together. This is the heritage and birthright of every single American. These public lands are about our natural heritage. It's about the Grand Canyon, the Tetons, Yellowstone. And I think we have a patriotic obligation to protect this heritage and to live in balance with it and to pass it on intact to our children.
But you hear those same members of Congress, that's something they all want, but we can't afford it any longer. That's what they say is the bottom line, that it's too expensive to run the Bureau of Land Management, National Park Service, and such as well.
It's not about money. It's about a venomous, lobbyist-led attempt to destroy our natural heritage, to sell off the public lands, and to repeal the environmental laws that have worked so well, the results of which you can see in every neighborhood where there's now clean streams that our kids can fish and swim in. They're going to turn the clock back on all of this if they have their way.
In New Hampshire, the secretary worked a crowd. Republicans who want Bill Clinton's job have already been here, bombarding both Babbitt and his president's policies.
Gee, maybe I ought to be running for something.
Do you think it's a good strategy for 96 then to make 96 election about the environment?
Oh,
make that a referendum?
Absolutely. It's the reason that you see me here on the shore of Walden Pond rather than in Washington. There's no hope of getting these issues thoroughly debated and aired in Washington. It's a closed circle of lobbyists and money. The money changers are swarming through the temples of democracy.
With 3,400 locations in more than 60 countries around the world, your best bet is a Best Western.
Your best bet is a Best Western. Call 1-800-528-1234 or your travel agent.
Arthritis. Imagine if you could relieve your minor arthritis pain so effectively. It almost feels like you've gone back in time to the days before you had arthritis. Try Capsaicin P, a remarkable cream with the topical analgesic ingredient doctors recommend most for arthritis pain. Capsaicin P builds effectiveness until it reaches peak pain relief power. And when the pain is gone, it's almost like you've gone back in time. Get odor-free Capsaicin P with the ingredient doctors recommend most.
Hi, Charlie. It's easy to see why I fell for the guy. Now, after 27 years, I love him more than ever. So I'm looking out for him. I've even got him eating Bran Flakes. Not just any Bran Flakes. Post Premium Bran Flakes. Premium because Post blends high-fiber wheat bran and whole grain wheat. Then oven toast those big flakes till they're crisp and even more delicious. Hey, a hunk like Charlie, you look out for him. Post Premium Bran Flakes.
Sunday,
on CNN presents marital problems, scandals. The fairy tale world of Windsor has hit head-on with reality. Can Britain's first family survive a battle royal? Sunday, 9 Eastern.
Tonight on CNN's Capital Gang, the Medicare reform battle begins. And will this general run for president? 2 issues worth ganging up on with William Bennett. Tonight, 7 Eastern on CNN.
They call themselves rock and roll Republicans. Dana Rohrabacher is serving his 4th term as representative from Orange County, California.
Oh, I started surfing when I was a kid, and, you know, I'm a California guy, and you got to be able to surf.
Brian Bilbray is a newcomer to Congress, representing San Diego, California.
What about you, Brian? How did you start surfing?
I actually started when I was in 3rd grade.
3rd grade?
Yeah, I lived a block away from the ocean. My brother surfed with a big balsa wood board. And frankly, while he was on the beach with the girls, I'd take his board out and surf.
They're all grown up now, and they want to change America's environmental policy. I joined them on the beach for a day of surfing and politics.
Hey, surf's up. Let's go.
Hey. What am I doing?
You're waxing the board.
I'm waxing the board.
That's where your feet don't slide around.
Obviously, this was my first attempt at being a gnarly Stoken board bunny.
If you can, you're going to ride the whitewater. Your goal today is when those waves...
To not die.
The congressman believed the federal government should stop telling local communities how to run their environmental business.
Well, I think if you've ever had to work with trying to clean up environmental problems, you'll understand that the greatest frustration is sometimes the bureaucracy and the regulation gets in the way of taking care of the environment.
You know, you've got a lot of environmentalists who think they know what's better for our lives than we do. And the Republicans don't believe in that.
What the Republicans do believe in comes into focus with the Clean Water Act. The House voted to greatly reduce the scope of the act this spring. The Senate will take up the debate later in the year. Bilbray introduced an amendment to permanently exempt San Diego from a requirement for expensive upgrades to their sewage disposal system. He contends that San Diego knows best how to take care of San Diego's environmental challenges.
What we're really looking at with the Clean Water Act is now, after all these years, it's time to fine-tune it.
The only thing the Republicans are saying is, let's make sure that all our judgments are based on real science and not just some stupid environmental scare tactic.
Congressman Brian Bilbray and Dana Rohrabacher may be riding the right wave, but there are others in the surfing community who believe there's danger lurking in these waters. And it's not sharks they fear.
The best waves are the ones that are going to the left. When you're facing that way.
And is there a boneyard out there?
No.
Chris Spangler and Roy Lattis are avid surfers and members of the Surfrider Foundation, an organization that educates the public about ocean-related environmental issues. They gave me my 2nd surfing lesson at the mouth of the Santa Ana River, a place they describe as both a great place for surfing and one of the dirtiest stretches of beach on the coast.
No worries.
No worries.
It's hard to tell who you are there.
Some worries.
Okay.
Roy and Chris chose this spot because it illustrates their concerns over the changes proposed for the Clean Water Act.
The Clean Water Act was enacted because 30% of the streams were clean enough for human contact and fishing. Now we're up to 66% are clean, is what they call fishable and swimmable. And what about the other 34%? There's still a lot that needs to be done, and I don't think it's time to change where we're going. And that's really the message we have.
But their point to me was, don't communities have the right to decide what they want to do with their environment?
Well, the problem is we're talking about doing things that don't just affect that community, okay? If communities inland decide that they want to let their local pulp mill spew all their discharge untreated into the river there, well, that discharge is going to go down that river and end up right there.
right in the
And
water.
then we're going to surf in it, and we're going to get sick. Possibly die.
Surfers are being called the new indicator species. When they get sick, it means the oceans might also be sick. Dr. Gordon Lebet, also of the Surfrider Foundation, has been following some of those cases.
Are surfers getting sick?
Surfers who surf in areas like this at river mouths or in flowing storm drains do get sick. They get sick a lot.
What kind of things are surfers getting?
The biggest, most common thing we're finding from our reports is sinus infections, sinusitis. We're getting ear infections, swimmer's ear, otitis externa. Those are the big two. The third is gastroenteritis.
For these two groups, the big issue dividing them seems to be one of politics. It's about whether local or federal control of the environment is the best way to go.
Too many people in Washington have never had to really try with their own hands, roll up their sleeves and do it, clean up the environment.
The cities and states need to be held accountable because they don't always do what's right. They don't always do what's in the interest of the public health or in the public interest in general.
We have to have standards that are scientifically proven. Instead of a lot of liberal nonsense that environmentalists have been spouting off.
The science only can address what's happening now. The science cannot address what's going to happen 50 years from now because it doesn't know.
I can be in the water between 10 and 20 hours a week, and that's a lot of time to be exposed to pathogens and bacteria, and I get sick, and I'm tired of being sick.
Everyone we talk to in this story has a very personal interest in the ocean. They all seem to share the same goal, to clean up and protect the waters they serve. What separates them is an ideological gap as wide as the ocean. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All my life was a paper.
A lifetime of dreams.
Once plain, pure, and white.
A lifetime of color.
Till you move with your brush and with your special touch, made the colors just right.
Decorate your life with color. Seal Benjamin Moore dealer. Benjamin Moore, a stroke of brilliance.
Decorated my life.
Dear Midas, when my wife and I took our car to Alaska, the Adventure did a serious number on our muffler. In Fairbanks, a dealer said,
"We can get you one from Anchorage in a few days."
But at Midas, you had a muffler in stock.
Yeah, we got one of those.
And your serviceman stayed late while his wife and baby waited. So we insisted he take them out on us. Thank you.
Robert?
And Elaine Hardin.
Are you getting all the relief you need for arthritis pain? Discover the first in a unique class of pain reliever doctors have trusted for years. Zostrix. So effective that even though prescriptions have never been required, doctors prescribe Zostrix and triple-strength Zostrix HP more than all other topical arthritis pain relievers combined. Zostrix is also proven to work hand-in-hand with oral medications for added relief, greater mobility. Zostrix, physician-strength relief, is in your hands.
News travels fast.
This just in to headline.
That's why people turn to Headline News for continuously updated news. Because it doesn't matter what hour of the day it is, the time for Headline News is always now.
Today, the budget battle on CNN's Evans and Novak. Balancing the budget means cuts in programs that may affect you. Representative John Kasich, Budget Committee Chairman, on who could be hurt or helped. Today, 5:30 Eastern on CNN.
People warm the earth, and a new act hits Capitol Hill. Hi, I'm Joey Chen. An international panel of scientists agrees we can blame ourselves for global warming. The researchers who are advising governments on climate change say it's now clear the world is getting warmer because of human activities. That's an important finding, because up till now, many experts have said it's too hard to tell if temperature swings are totally natural or partially man-made. At the 1992 Earth Summit, most governments agreed to limit industrial gases that trap the sun's energy and overheat the Earth. In many nations, it's becoming a hot political issue. Speaking to the National Academy of Sciences, U.S. Vice President Al Gore said the time for partisan bickering is past.
This projects that a world in which
atmospheric carbon dioxide is doubled, will be a world that is between 3 and 4 degrees centigrade warmer than today.
Warmer weather could flood landscapes, endanger food supplies, and kill ecosystems. Time again for Congress Watch, your eco-eye on Capitol Hill. They're calling it the new Improved Endangered Species Act, but opponents say saving species is the last thing it'll do. House conservatives have proposed a bill that would drastically change the existing act, which they call costly and ineffective. The bill would give the Interior Secretary greater leeway in designating critical habitat and compensate property owners for land devaluation.
People do have private property rights, and the government does not have the right to trample on those private property rights.
Opponents say it bends over backwards to pacify property owners at the risk of dooming more species to extinction.
It turns out that when you have an endangered species listed on your property, it engenders a lot of fear, unnecessary fear. Fear that now you can't do anything, which turns out almost never to be true.
Both President Clinton and Interior Secretary Bruce Babbitt have blasted the bill, and a similar one already in the Senate. Expect a vote on it later this year. And in 2 weeks, watch for a special half-hour Earth Matters on endangered species. That's it for The Real, but still to come, digging for the truth about trash.
I lost my cowboy boots.
Under the table, honey.
Ma, did you fix my backpack?
Yes, I did.
Oh. Hey, watch it. I'm ready.
Kids, pick out something to drink.
Okay, we got purple box with soda and Sunny D. Grab a Sunny.
Sunny Delight singles have the great citrus taste kids love and the same vitamins as Big Sunny Delight.
Mom, your shoes. Cool.
Sunny Delight singles, the good stuff kids go for.
Business is about as predictable as the weather. You never know when a storm's going to hit.
And you need it when?
All you know is you have to respond. So UPS guarantees overnight delivery by 10:30 a.m. and even 8 a.m. And for problems that can't wait till tomorrow,
It's one ship that I need.
there's now same-day delivery. Only UPS offers you all these choices.
We're back in business.
But that's what planning for a rainy day is all about. UPS, moving at the speed of business.
I was really downing those tablets. Started to think there was something really wrong with my stomach.
Was I relieved when my doctor said I just needed a stronger antacid tablet.
New Mylanta tablets are strong medicine, made stronger than Tums, stronger than any other antacid tablet, and now made with calcium.
Unbelievable.
Mylanta tablets, made stronger, made with calcium.
My doctor said Mylanta.
If there is such a thing as an icon of the environmental movement, it is probably recycling. Communities have adopted it wholeheartedly. 5 years ago, only 20 million of us recycled. Today, over 100 million. But there is controversy about whether it works or not economically. And as we found out in a small town in Tennessee, there are also plenty of risks for recycling workers.
If you think recycling is no muss, no fuss, try doing this for a while.
What's that? Cat litter?
It's a smelly job. Somebody's got to do it.
And these are the guys who do it, picking through our garbage for $5.50 an hour.
What about needles? You ever come across a needle or anything?
A bunch.
Really?
Quite a few people get stuck with them every now and then.
Now, this is where the trucks come in with the garbage. Now, this is the garbage right here that goes through the line.
Randy Drake runs this place. He's the solid waste director for Robertson County, Tennessee. And like many rural places, there are no curbside recycling programs. But still, like all counties, Robertson must meet federal mandates for reducing how much they dump into landfills. This is the way they do it. It's called a mixed waste processing plant, a fancy way of saying that human beings have to do the dirty work.
Make sure all the bags is open and pull all the plastic.
No high-tech machines, just human hands to feel through the filth and retrieve that which could be used again. Sometimes they run the line with nothing but raw garbage, recovering some recyclables, but also making fuel pellets out of the leftovers.
This is supposed to be the clean stuff, the pre-sorted stuff.
But other times, they run the line with nothing but recyclables, the contents of a few recycling bins scattered around the county. Amazing what some folks think is recyclable.
Somebody killed us some dead chickens.
Oh, man.
Nah, I tell you, that's not recyclable.
Jeez. I almost reached into that.
But you have to reach into this stuff. Every bag that comes by has to be emptied to check its contents.
What's this? Oh, man.
A small bag like that's usually diapers.
Disposable diapers make up a good chunk of it, don't they? Ah, boy. More diapers. Diapers. Oh, boy. A lot of diapers. More diapers. What do you think about breathing all this stuff?
That's trash. It's just trash.
But it's more than just trash. It's the dust that's created, tiny microorganisms and bacteria floating in the air.
Like a dead dog or something come through up here. What come through a while ago?
No kidding?
Stuff so bad I just put my mask on.
Why don't you wear your mask all the time?
When I breathe, it fogs up my glasses.
In this country, research into the health effects of doing this kind of work has been almost non-existent. But in Europe, a Danish study revealed that doing this day in and day out can make you sick, sometimes very sick. You get many complaints of sickness or illness? Or...
Yeah, it seems like when one gets sick, they all get sick. And it'll be like a virus.
From what?
I don't necessarily think it's from anything to do with the garbage.
Respiratory problems, skin rashes, diarrhea, nausea. A few of the illnesses that the Danish study says are much more frequent among these kind of workers.
We've had guys that work on a tipping table. They'll throw up 10, 12 times a day and keep going.
Really?
The recycling boom has taken off so quickly that keeping up can be tricky.
They're like Lucy in the chocolate factory.
I'm not the only one falling behind. Regulatory agencies like OSHA that are supposed to keep an eye on worker health haven't been able to keep pace either.
They consider it like factory working.
But they don't have specific regulations that relate to...
I know. No, I think someday they will.
In the meantime...
Somebody pull the dead chicken.
I quit. Well, that's all the time we have. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next time on Earth Matters.